Ethics of technology. Ethical considerations in technology address privacy bias and societal impacts, fostering responsible innovation and trust. Dr. Sambhavi will now share her experiences.
Hi everyone, good morning. My name is Shambhavi, and we're going to talk on a very interesting topic of ethical innovation and sustainable technology. So, I think more or less when we talk about ethics in technology, technology has always been created to ease human work. That's the idea or conception of making technology work for humans. Eventually, now we are also seeing a pattern where technology is consuming human work. Take an example of Chat GPT, or take an example of artificial intelligence, generative AI, take an example of IoT. Most of these technological updates were created so that human work gets reduced, the sphere of human work gets reduced. Eventually, now we are also seeing that the consequences of some of these updates are consuming the very purpose of what it was created for. When we talk of a clean technology, right, look at how humans versus, I want to create an analogy between what humans created versus what nature does to itself. All of us have seen the movie Oppenheimer, right? And why something was created and what was the impact of some of these decisions by humans. Similarly, if I have to compare this with the most beautiful mammal, a whale, right? And if you look at the story of how a whale actually dies, it ensures that after its death, you actually have a year long resource for the entire marine life and the sea creatures. Isn't this beautiful? Now, do we as humans also have similar thought processes where we are cleaning up or clearing up the digital footprints or the after effects of some of these technological changes which we are bringing to our day to day lives? Coming to one more beautiful example from nature, and I would also want to compare it with some of our own creations, right? Look at a clownfish living in the coral reef. I'm sure you all understand it's a symbiotic relationship. Okay, so there is a give and take between the coral, the live coral reef versus the clownfish, where they are gaining from each other, they are enriching from each other, and they are ensuring the reef actually protects the clownfish from predators, unlike humans. Look at what has happened to the social media after the disruption in the storage space. The very fact that we moved to cloud and data is now moved to cloud, okay, nothing is private anymore. The privacy, we have actually encroached on people's, when I'm saying we as the digital world, okay, we've encroached on people's space. All our information is publicly available to an extent where even what we see, what we browse through, the advertisements, through data mining and data analytics, right, all the information is fed into in the consumerism market, and it is getting, it is getting thrown back to us even when maybe we don't want to pursue a few things. um, I don't want to go on and on social media, because all of us have seen the impact of some of these things and how it is actually not only consuming our lives on a day to day basis, but I think it's also taking up our space, our personal space, our time, and somewhere our mental well being. We are seeing so many cases where very young engineers at the workplace are getting completely disrupted. They are facing anxiety issues, they're having challenges in terms of their well being. Even to pursue a normal hobby, it takes them a lot of effort to go out and play a sport or play a game. This was never the case about a decade or 2 decades ago, right? COVID, the pandemic changed our lives the way it was. And combine it with digital technology interfaces, or the digital invasion, as you want to call it. I think it's a, it's a lethal situation which we have created for ourselves from our well-being perspective. And what are we doing about it? Are we thinking ahead of this whole technology innovation and technology evasion that we can clear the footprints, or we can clear the garbage which we are creating as humans. Moving on, are we, I want to touch upon a point on corporate social responsibilities as the digital citizens of the global world. Are we creating equal opportunity in terms of diversifying some of these technology updates to everyone? So all of us know that India has the maximum number of engineers, learned staff which we provide to the entire world. Are we actually disseminating this information across the learning space? Also, talking about diversity and inclusion, I would want to touch upon, are we creating equal space for diversity of thoughts and diversity of ideas? Let's also look at how the hiring. So, I head HR for a tech company, and I think over the last 1 decade, the hiring good talent has completely gone for a toss. Now, we don't know whether it's a human or it's a robot who's actually answering some of the questions, because as you know, since we no longer do in-person interviews, at least at the first stage, it's very easy for people to just Google through and crack the code when there's a technical assessments which are being conducted. When we talk of the hiring process, right, assessment of course is one, whether it's a genuine or a fake candidate, or whether it's a genuine attempt to showcase knowledge, or is it Googled, or is it AI based CV which has been sent to us, right? All of that. So as the search engines, I mean, take any of the search engines for jobs, LinkedIn or Naukri, or other famous Indian search processes. While there's a lot of investment going on in updating the search process from customer perspective, I think the disruption is even more faster, where the candidates are learning how to disrupt this technology, how to find a gap and crack the code. On hiring ethics and how we should actually be relooking at the talent space, because somewhere from a knowledge based talent creation, we are moving to a digital based creation. So the attention span of people have reduced considerably. So I also, if you have to compare the real versus real, what is real and what is deep fake? Is it what you are seeing, is it true, or is the content created, right? How would you distinguish this? And that creates a huge CSR work for all of us. It creates a huge dilemma from the social perspective in terms of how do you really differentiate and evaluate performance, and how do you genuinely reward true knowledge or true database. Some of the ongoing industry challenges which I wanted to touch upon. Also, when we talk about creating sustainable developmental goals and technology, I'm sure most of you have this question of what next? Okay, what do we do? Because by the time we are actually market ready, and you may be investing in learning AI or Gen AI or IoT, or any other machine learning course, and in the next 2-3 years, I'm sure that entire technology space is going to get disrupted. So where do you start? Where do you stop? How much do you learn? How much do you invest in terms of your own upskilling so that you are ahead in the game? I'm sure as students or as people who are hearing this lecture, I think this is one important question which comes to your mind. And how much of it is going to be relevant? Is this going to be relevant? So look at the banking space per se, and those of us who have crossed the 40s, okay, and seen the last 4 decades of changes in banking space since the core banking technology was introduced. I still remember, we used to feel very happy when our parents used to get the payday and we would go to the bank and collect the money, right? And that was the time we could actually get to spend on the chocolates and the treats and stuff. Later on, it's moved to core banking in the last 10 years. I think the entire banking experience has completely drastically changed. and so have the frauds which are being committed through the cybercrime goons. So while we are helping people through the ATM machines, through the digital banking, the online banking, the mobile banking services and stuff, what about this? What about the whole lot of fraud which is getting, and people are getting swindled of lakhs and lakhs of their tax paid, hard earned money? And how are we going to stop it? How are we going to trace it? Okay, cybercrime has become huge, and I think we are still somewhere struggling to get ethics in place in terms of core banking versus cyber crimes, and how to actually stop that. Let's look at the telecom space. Okay, so there was a time when I remember, when during my post graduation days, to make a call home, okay, it would cost around 100 rupees, and that was a fortune at that point of time, and you have to wait in the queue in an STD booth, okay, for 5-10 minutes and then talk. And that was a luxury, just talking to your family members, your loved ones, right? And even when I was getting married, I remember, we could hardly speak much because these were landlines where, we had to communicate. And after a point of time, my brother would say, okay, keep the phone. Okay, the bill is increasing, coming from a typical middle class family. And now it is on your fingertips. Okay, the moment has made communication so easy, so fast, so beautiful. Mobile technology has emerged, and it has broken the the conceptual method of communication. There's so much we can talk non-stop. What are the demerits? I think there is so much of information. Everybody knows everything. Okay, and nothing is a secret anymore, right? Right from your personal issues to, you can just pick the phone and talk. While it is good, are we as human beings able to limit our conversation? Okay, so while there is a whole lot of disruption in terms of how much technology has how technology has changed our living, there's a whole lot of work happening on human well-being and wellness, and being able to be here and now, because thoughts and actions are moving so fast. There's so much of disruption in terms of the knowledge space. So are we able to spend that quality time in upskilling ourselves, in creating sustainable developmental goals through technology? I think I'm going to also touch upon the business benefits from sustainable practices. And here I want to talk about the impact of, the carbon footprint which human beings are creating. I really don't want to get into the whole environmental issues right now, which is very, very close to my heart. But look at the type of disruption it has created. Let's talk of Wi-Fi. Okay, we've seen that classic discussion between 4G and 5G, and why 5G can actually impact. Okay, and why you need to switch off your phone, and while sleeping you need to keep the phone off your bed and sleeping place, and make the sleep environment less disruptive. What stops us from learning from nature, and what stops us from creating a sustainable practice? If you again look at all our previous stories, take any of the previous case studies in which we have worked on, I think business benefits of creating a sustainable practice is immense. Any technology which we don't, where we can't see an end in terms of how is it going to impact human lives, I think somewhere it is also the responsibility of people who create that technology to see the after impact of how this technology will impact human lives. Is it a boon or is it a bane? Okay, and I think I bet my horses on the innovation which is happening in the digital space now, that only those technological spaces or those technological upcomings will be sustainable, which have created this or which have cleared this digital footprints or the impact which is it is creating on the environment. I think with that I would probably pause, and if there are any questions I would love to take them. Thank you.